I found out he was dead. Yeah. Oh, it was very sad. Mm-hmm.
Were you close with Private Kelly?
Say that again?
Were you close with Private Kelly?
Yes, I was close with all my men. Yes, yes, very close with him.
How many of your men did you have?
I had about, I would say around 20 of them under me. The drivers, the Jeep drivers, and the weapons carriers, and the mechanics too. See, they were all under my supervision.
Did you lose others in Lady?
Did I?
Did you lose other of your men?
No, not my men. No. See, we were trained also to be gunners on the howitzers, but if any of them got killed, then my men would take over, see, would be there. But we never had to do it, you know. Yeah. All my men did mostly was guard the gunners, that no Japs can get to them. And one night, one of the men on the perimeter called me, being a sergeant. He says to me, "Sergeant, I think I see a lot of Japs, about 40 Japs coming up the road." I says, 40 Japs, Jesus. Sure enough, there was 40 Japs coming up the road, and we killed them all, the whole 40 of them. And they laid there all night until the next morning. Then the bulldozer dug a big hole, and we threw them all in the hole and covered it up. And there's where the missing in action comes in, like our own soldiers. They did that to our soldiers, the missing in action. And what we did to them, they did to ours, see, to our soldiers.
Would they try to attack at night often?
Oh, yes. Well, that's most of the time they did try at night with the artillery, see. But the infantry, they were night and day. See, we used to fire our weapons above the infantry all day long. Yep.
So how long were you in Lady for?
Should say that?
How long were you in Lady for?
In Lady? About another 3 months.
So where were you sent after that?
Well, after that, we went to the Karamoretas Islands. And on that island, the people there, or the Japs over there, were thought that we were all murderers. They were under the impression for the Americans to get in the Army, we had to murder one of our parents. So before we got to them, they would kill themselves. They would commit suicide. They would jump off the mountains and all in the Karamoretas before we got to them. Children and women, they would jump off the mountain, kill themselves. Yeah, and that didn't last too long. We weren't there too long.
So they would have rather commit suicide.
That's right.
Than to be captured by Americans.
Because they thought we were, well, first of all, we were told no prisoners. Right? Yeah. So that was another thing. Like even the 40 Japs that I killed there, like a few in the morning, they were half in the days, you know. Then by the time we finished them off there, killed them before we put them in the hole. And then after Karamoretas, we went to Aishima. And this was an island that was so flat and was full of landmines. And as we'd hit the shore, so many Jeeps hit the landmines, and they would fly up in the air about 4 stories high, the motors, the bodies, the wheels, and the soldiers' bodies that were in it, they were flying all over. And you were afraid that maybe a motor or something or a tire, when it comes down, was going to hit you in the head. That's right. Yeah. And then further on, they turned over. You saw that picture with that tank, the way it was turned over. I showed you that picture. That was on that island. And that's the island where Ernie Pyle came on and got killed by a sniper. Ernie Pyle. That's the island, Aishima. Yeah.
It's a lot of pressure.
Oh, it was. It was a real fortified island, and it was a very good island to take Okinawa with. That's the reason we wanted to take that island, to attack Okinawa. Yeah. And then my next battle was on Okinawa. And that was another tough battle. The same way as all the rest of them. Hit the beaches, like we had to hit like in Europe, they hit that Normandy beach once. But I was hitting beaches every couple of months, 2-3 months, I was hitting a new beach. And the Japs were firing at you. Yeah, that was pretty rough. And Okinawa was another, well, I guess you read it. It was a very bad one, too, to be there. We fought alongside the Marines, the 7th Division Marines. And the men in my division were men between 28 and 50 years old. And the Marines was all 18, 19, and 20-year-old. And they used to call us the 77, the old bastards. We keeping up with them. That's true, because we were fighting right alongside of them on Okinawa. Yeah. And after that, we went to the occupied Hokkaido, the island Hokkaido, in one of the big islands by Japan. See, one of Japan's big island, Hokkaido. And there, the war was over by then, see. We went there as occupation, occupied the Hokkaido, and the Japanese were inviting it into their homes to want to give us a meal or drinks, whatever we wanted. But we didn't touch anything because, after all, we just killed their father, their brothers, their sons. I was afraid maybe they'd poison us and put some poison in your drinks or something, So I wouldn't touch nothing. Yeah.
I just want to go back and talk about Okinawa for a minute.
Sure.
Was that battle more difficult in any way than the others?
It was much longer, yes. And it was much, and I don't know if I should tell you this, but, their farms, their fertilizer was human soil. Human soil was their fertilizer. And so we were warned not to eat any vegetables or anything. But believe me, I tasted the potatoes. The potatoes were much better than the ones in the U.S. They were so much sweeter, the potatoes. Oh, yeah. So when you pass their what do you call it, the human soil where they kept it, the fertilizer, boy, it smelled so bad, Yeah, when you had to pass, they saved it, see. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How long did the battle at Okinawa last? How long were you there for?
About 3 or 4 months. Yeah.
What else can you tell me?
So what were you gonna?
What else can you tell me that you remember about Okinawa?
Well, it was a pretty tough battle on Okinawa. That's about it. All I can tell you about it, you know. You know, after all, it was 70 years ago. It's pretty hard to remember everything, you know. Yeah. But that was it. That's about all I could tell you about the war.
What were the conditions like while you were there, the living conditions?
Oh, the living conditions were very bad. Very bad. We had, they'd give us a quart of water a day when they were able to. There was times when we ran out of water, and I had to go down to I was dying of thirst to get something in my throat. And I would go down to the swamps and drink some of that swampy water just to get something in my throat, and that gave me dysentery for 2 years, that swampy water. I had dysentery for 2 years. Yeah.
How did you get food?
Food? Every day they would give you K rations. You carried it on your belt. And a lot of times you didn't get that too. And out of that quart of water that they gave you, once in a while, you would put some in your helmet to sponge yourself off with, because there was months before you were able to take a shower or something. Yeah.
Did you ever think while you were there about going home?
Did I ever?
While you were in Okinawa, did you ever think about what it would be like to be at home?
How it would be like to be at home? Oh, I would love to have been home. Oh, no. I didn't want to go in a war in the first place. I think that's the worst place to go. And you know, I wasn't young, 18, 19, I was 28 years old already. Yeah.
Were you able to keep in touch with any family?
Yes, we were, and everything was censored. Everything you sent, every letter was censored. Made sure that you couldn't tell them where you were, or how, you know, anything else, and no information about the war. Yep.
During the battles, what would be going through your head?
To stay alive. Yep, to stay alive, all right. Would I ever get home?
Was there anything you would have to think about in particular to keep you going?
Did I think about?
Did you think about anything in particular that would
Well,
make you
yeah,
want
well,
to?
my family. I worried about my family, you know. That's what kept me going, to get back home to them. Mm-hmm.
Were you married?
I was just about going to get married at the time.
What was her name?
Her name? Jean. And I know in 1939 I met her. Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure you wanted to get home to her.
I certainly did. Yep. And I stood with her until she died last 15 years ago. 15 years ago. She was 83 years old when she died. Yep.
So after Okinawa, where you went to Hokkaido?
Hokkaido. Yeah. We sort of occupied it. The war was just over, see. And President Roosevelt was our president. And as soon as he died, somehow or other had an idea that the war was going to end. I said, now the war, I said to my friends, the other son, now the war is going to end. Sure enough, when Truman in, they dropped the bomb, the A-bomb, and it ended. Yep.
Were you surprised when they dropped the atomic bomb?
Well, yes, I was surprised. But I was waiting for them to do it, so the war would be over.
How did you and the other men react when you knew the war was finally over?
Oh, went so happy and crazy, you know. We were delighted that it was all over. And it took months to get home because I didn't get home till December 15th, 1945, because they didn't have enough ships to take all the men home at once. So I was in that island for a few months waiting to go home. Then I went to California, and then I took a train back to Fort Dix, New Jersey. That's in 1945, in December. Then they gave me $3.95 to take the Greyhound bus back to the Bronx. They wouldn't even take me back to the Bronx. They gave me $3.95 to go back to the Bronx.
So you had to wait.
Hmm?
So you had to wait all that time.
Yeah, that's right.
What did you do to occupy your time while you had to wait to go home?
Well, there was always a lot of different things there to do. They kept you busy, you know. Yeah, you don't do nothing. You do exercise or whatever. You're still training, you know.
And while the war was still going on, what did you do to occupy your time while you weren't in battle?
Well, we would